Okay, is that better?
That's better now. There we go. We're excited now. So, a lot of things have been coming up with like spiritual devotion and energy in motion. And so, I guess the topic that they're bringing up right now is how energy in motion and your devotions are changing, or maybe they're louder. So, like, what necessarily do you see or feel transpiring in that devotional space? It's like Jupiter is really playing here, and Jupiter is doing its thing, but it's kind of across from Mercury and Mars and the Sun, all in Capricorn at once, over the next few days. And so it's like Jupiter's kind of like grounding in those type of energies that are getting you to devote yourself to anything at this point.
Yeah, follow a more passionate way, right?
It's interesting to watch how the energies around have really started to speak very loud to people, and meaning that people are having to take a look at themselves in many different ways. And this isn't always a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong when you say that.
No.
It's coming from a place and a space going, oh, that doesn't feel good anymore. That doesn't feel right anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I know when nothing fits, it's like it's like things that you try to do that day, or things that you try to, just things that you try to do, or things when things don't make sense to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's when you know everything's changing, and everything's rearranging. When you can't understand things, right? It's like the energy then you know is changing, because if you're in a vibration of not understanding necessarily what's going on, and things aren't necessarily working out, coming back to that space of not doing anything is what allows that energy type of catch up to actually take place. So I think a lot of people, it feels energetically, collectively, even myself in different ways, they're like, that doesn't fit anymore, but I don't know what fits, right? So when going, I don't know what fits, that's when you kind of react back and go, okay, I'm just going to step back for a minute and take a pause.
Yeah.
That's been a lot of the rest energy, the death energy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And going, okay, it's not really about anything specific. It's just about what makes me feel loud, or me feel proud, or me putting that time, energy, effort into something that is within me, but also outside of me. Devotional time. Devotional time to self is coming up a lot right now, and I really believe that's because of Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, the Sun, Mars, Mercury being in Capricorn, and then the energy there of Jupiter at play, right? And then you've got Pisces, okay, activated by Neptune and Saturn. So it's really not about, the way that Spirit, in a sense, was breaking it down to me is it's about not necessarily seeing that thing and not knowing how to get there, like having specific goals, right, or outlines, right? It's about actually embodying that energy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
It's now about doing that thing. It's now about orientation of that thing. Oscillation is the word that they're saying here. So oscillation meaning chariot energy. Things that you need to be aware of in your reality that are the driving force behind the things that you're wanting to do. Not from an egoic perspective, but from a very passionate directive, right? It's like, okay, I really want to learn about this thing or do this thing. You're giving your time, your devotional time, energy, effort to that thing, which is also building devotional time, energy, and effort in self.
Yeah.
So I really feel like the Jupiter energy on the cusp, but we're waiting for a lot of things to play out right now on a collective level, right? It's kind of been this formulation of this energy and vibration that has really started to accumulate, and you can start and see or feel this snowball effect. But at the same time, you just don't necessarily know all the parts and pieces. It's like this piece is slowly coming in, this piece is slowly coming in. I can start and see this piece slowly coming in, but yet you just don't know where they just all fit yet in your personal paradigm, in your own soul level of journey. And that's because this is about you coming into those new alignments that are there for you, things coming back around again. You might be hearing that too. Opportunities knocking again. And this is because the divine and the energy is calling for us to expand. And the expansion can be very subtle. The expansion, though, can be a higher demand where it's like, okay, I'm leaving my home behind, I'm traveling again, or I have a new home, or I'm changing a direction in a career or reflection. So there's this type of new identity projection about yourself, which is beautiful. It's not a bad thing here when they use the word projection, because that's what you're reflecting back to your own energy in the authenticity of the identity that you are assuming now that is new in relevance to you. Maybe the way you talk, the way you act, the way you handle situations, the way that you hold back. Maybe you overexpressed yourself. And so maybe you underexpress yourselves. These are all different parts of you coming more into alignment of self. Anything that you're giving time, energy, and effort to is what Spirit is saying that you have the availability to use to actually build something of good use for your life, for your longevity. And they said it's less about thinking twice and more about the authenticity of the feeling here that's driving you towards that passion or towards that purpose or towards that golden reflection.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot, and I'm going to be quiet for a
No,
minute.
but that's
That's
because
exactly
basically the whole thing that what you were talking about it, and this from personal observation and experience, the Neptune retrograde was a reevaluation of the spiritual self,
Yes.
right? And then as we come out of retrograde and we come into this new energy, now it's about application and the commitment of it. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to, and it's exactly what you're talking about, it's understanding the divine self, and it's like, no, you are more,
Yeah.
and it's time to know more about you, but it requires a discipline and a commitment in order to do so, because basically our understanding of discipline and commitment comes from a slave mentality, a survival mentality. And it's not the divine way. So where there's a lot of regression, struggle, oppression, the divine way allows a smoother transition of allowing those things to happen in our lives. And that's what we're being shown, how to engage in self-control and self-understanding of that and what it actually means, versus what a lot of people don't realize is kind of like a mind construct where they're not allowing energy to flow because of the things that they're holding on to here. So it's a reevaluation of self and realizing that everything is a frequency, and frequency manifests thee. You know what I'm saying? In other words, like your spiritual self is manifesting not only your existence, but the awareness that you are something more than what you are perceiving right now. It's kind of like a demonstration or an allowance of a personal view for people now to see it within themselves. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. On a different level, what they gave me a vibrational expression of to bring it down into a layer of understanding even more profoundly is that okay. I'm gonna say the difference between what I'm being told and what they showed me. So I want to express what they showed me first, and then I want to dive into the expression in the spiritual aspect of what they're saying right now. Okay, so I'm gonna ask them to just hold on to it for just a second, so I can explain this part first, because I believe it's really important. So when you were talking about that and coming into those things in a vision space, immediately they took me in and they showed me where it's not necessarily about what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. Let's say this new drive, this new passion is starting to come alive, whether it's sewing, whether it's an change in your entire drive, right? What's breathing you alive inside? What feels good to that rise? What you're wanting to give time, energy, and effort to. And so what they showed me is, yes, you do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much more that you learn about you when you are just doing that thing. Now, here is stupid human, as I call it. We think that we're just learning a new thing and doing a new thing. But in reality, we're learning about 3 to 4 to 5 different things
Yeah.
at the same time,
Simultaneously.
simultaneously. So, yes, you're learning this new knowledge, this new skill, and it's starting to come alive, and it's bringing you passion, right? And it's bringing
Mm-hmm.
you drive. But then at the same time, in this reflection, you're also being taught devotion,
Yeah.
persistence,
Yeah.
compassion.
Yep.
How many times did you mess up the same thing before you started to get it right?
Oh man, many times. It's
But no, when you started to take on this new creation space, and I'm not gonna like talk about it or give it up because it's
uh-huh.
personal to you and you can say
Uh-huh.
whatever you want to. But in that space, how many times did you mess up before you started to master that craft?
Yeah, it kind of became a practice to understand that you're going to fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? But not from a place of don't be hard on yourself when you practice these things, you know? And I guess that's what I kind of like implemented is like, oh, okay, I'm probably going to screw this up because it's something that I've never done before. But as I was doing that, I realized that my mentality, I was pushing forward, but I was also coming from a survival space.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't until I completely was like, fuck it, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that it started to flow freely,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. And I'm not trying to undermine
No,
anything
no,
you're
no.
saying because it's truly impeccable in that space. Just on a deeper level, you're learning you're learning how things work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me give you an expression of that. So, each of us have similar but different ability. The
Mm-hmm.
reason that makes it different is because it comes through our blueprint different, it comes through our DNA different, it comes through our divine expression differently, right?
It's very true.
Okay. So I can go watch a video on how to do something about 4 or 5 times and understand that just fine. But the way in which I ultimately end up doing it is backwards
Mm.
or different than what that was. But what I watched was a foundation, a starting point in
Until you
revelation,
find
right?
your own rhythm in it.
Until you find your own rhythm and your own flow with spirit. And that's one of the things on a deeper revelation that I was
Mm-hmm.
able to see for myself.
Yeah.
It also taught me new things about myself.
Yeah.
It taught me how to handle myself. It taught me how to become more disciplined.
Yeah.
It also taught me how to not give up on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I mean, many different things have taught me that, but it taught me in a different way. It taught me in a softer way. It taught me in a more divinely led way,
Yeah.
right? Where I was open to myself and aware, but very open to spirit at that time, that I was in that passionate forward momentum of that drive.
Yeah.
So then at the same time, I realized it was putting me in a meditation form or a meditation practice where I was able to be in a place of resonance or frequency where I was able to receive. And that's kind of what we call sometimes the stupid human
The
ability.
stupid human ability.
That when you're driving the car or when you're going and you're doing the laundry or doing the
Uh-huh.
dishes or vacuuming, you kind of sometimes have these thoughts to yourself, but they're not necessarily to yourself. They're to yourself and the ethers and everything else around you. And so those even monitoring spirits, those around you,
Uh-huh.
they start to understand and formulate the plan and what's going on around you, what you're
Uh-huh.
doing, right? Because you're expanding your awareness. And that thought then formulates an energy inside your body that is a resonance, as we
Yeah.
say, right?
Yeah.
And so it leaves like a resonance. And so that energy then in that spirit comes alive because they're like, okay, you want to do this?
Yeah.
Is that what you really
It's the
want to
law
do?
of correspondence.
Correct. And so they're like, okay, you really want to do this? Then this, which we don't know what this, and this are, okay, by any means whatsoever that we have to work on or do or move. And thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your comments and your love. And so when you are in a place and in a space where you start to outgrow things and change the way that you do things, when you start to sit in that space of actually doing that, you start to realize how it becomes a meditation form and a meditation
That's
practice.
one thing that
And it opens you up to more.
so that's what sewing was. That was a teaching from sewing. You know, is like, look at how you weave. You know, and they show you the flow and the rhythm and the way that we weave our lives together bit by bit, and it's almost poetic. You know how that is, because you might not even realize it, that you're at that 0 point. You're in the flow with the divine. You're in full commune with spirit. You know, and you get to live that way more consistently the more you practice these things, when you're passionate about what it is that you're doing, regardless of what it is that you're doing. You know, don't get me wrong, but
Spirit just gave me a great fucking, like, what do you call them, an idiism? What do you call that? An idiism? An
ideal?
No, that's not it. I don't know, but I'm just going to give you a revelation that they gave me, okay? So in vibration, think of it this way, all right? Nobody likes really taking out the trash.
No.
Right?
Well, no, I could see how that could be a joy if you wanted to push yourself that way.
Right. Okay. You'd have to work hard. It's like picking up dog poop. No.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Okay. Nobody really wants to. It's not something that anybody really gets passionate
No, especially
about.
if you have a fucking gag reflex. No.
Okay. So with that due respect, think about that energy in context to how you do things. It's the attitude in which you do things. It's the how in which you do things, right? So what I mean by that is nobody necessarily likes doing that. It comes with a negative vibration, but really in actualization, that's just the projection at that moment, right? But when you actually, you don't like taking the trash out, it doesn't feel good, but you go and you take the trash out, right?
It's because it's discipline,
right?
You know?
But you hang on, you go take the trash out, right? And then you put a new trash liner in, and nobody likes doing that. That's like one of the most tedious things to do. How many times do you forget to put the trash liner in?
As many times as I got tired of taking out the trash.
That's about right. So in all honesty, right? But after that aspect, the ending is that your house doesn't smell like trash. You've gotten the negative energy out, and you feel better, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
You gotta
nobody,
keep the chi flowing.
nobody necessarily likes doing the work or going through these processes, but at the same time, the discipline and what's taught and the end effect is what's coming online.
You know what?
And that's the what I don't. That's the
Yeah,
euphemism. That's the word.
Euphemism?
Yes.
Okay.
Damn, that took
You know,
forever.
it's
Thank
funny
you.
how the spirit literally shows you as you speak these things that you're basically maintaining a momentum and a balance of everything around you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like everything is almost cyclical, but it's very flowing, you know, and it's spinning. And this is how we create consistency and commitment in our lives, you know, that we create that steadiness and that flow and stability, you know,
Yeah.
by showing up and being consistent for it. It's like, you know, if I know that that's the promise that I have, if I maintain myself, then I want more of that, please.
Yeah, for real. And that starts also then into the next part that they were actually giving me. So it's just divine how that works in unison. I just love it every single time. But that's when they were talking me back. They took me into peace, right? And so that leads into peace. Because the more that you feel and you are aware of what peace is for you and that it's real, the more you always go back to getting that same feeling. Okay? Now, peace doesn't mean you're in some la-la world, and as one of my best friends and sisters says, it's like the Love and Light Brigade. Love and light, you know what I mean? No, that's not what peace is. It's not a fallacy. It's not somewhere that you have to continuously live, but when you do continuously live, you get to understand yourself and everything else, because it's what is the calm in whatever storm that allows the presence for more, right? Peace gives you that presence,
being
right?
steady.
So what peace really is it's the ability to understand what you're willing to give your time, energy, and effort to. A lot of us have had to learn boundaries for ourselves in that space, okay? Which is time, energy, and effort, what I want to give that to. Peace doesn't always mean that I always feel good or something doesn't irritate me or piss me off. What that means is that you are able to better handle situations which used to baffle you.
Amen.
So what that means is that I'm not going to allow any energy to trigger me in a sense where I consume the energy and assume it to when I'm vibrating at that low level energy.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that I don't feel a certain type of way about something somebody does to me or something somebody says to me. It just means that I have the capacity to be able to understand what's being triggered in me at that moment, also what they're displaying to me, and also the energy all around that's driving the force behind that simultaneously. So I can see all pieces and parts, so then I don't relatively react
Mm-hmm.
out of a space of intensity or abrasion taking place. Okay? And so in that space, I want you to understand and know what's taking place, that you are in a space that is growing, more understanding of where you're going, a more peaceful place of resonance that's at ease, understanding more about yourself, the infinity, and the matrix in which kept you from being not in sovereignty, is what Spirit's saying.
Yeah.
So being able to understand what you choose to identify with, what you choose to circumstance with,
Mm-hmm.
is what is kind of choosing you at this time.
Mm-hmm.
What you choose is what chooses you. And that's
Yeah.
what they're giving me at this time. It's really about where you choose to take your own personal
Yeah.
space to.
The Matrix is pretty cool because it teaches you that your reality is malleable.
Mm.
You know, it takes me back. I think Spirit took me to the fact that it was like there was a moment where Neo reaches out with his palm and says no and creates a ripple effect,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of that space. And it kind of reminds me of like when we are no longer tolerant
Mm-hmm.
of an illusion or something that we suffer from, or, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Or a way of being or toxic people. You know, there's a list,
Yeah.
you know, and then when you finally do that and you
Mm-hmm.
say no, there's a reverberation and a ripple effect,
Mm-hmm.
you know, of those things in your life because you've now asked the universe to give you another way, to give
Mm-hmm.
you, to show you the way,
Mm-hmm.
right? But again, it goes back to the commitment that we're willing to sit there and listen to what's being taught to us or being shown to us or being, you know, or we see in one way or another. It's a form of acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to commit to something so that way you can learn something because they're teaching you something. Yeah, I don't know how else to say that, you know,
Right.
and it's you know, for me it's a very welcoming understanding and perspective because you're allowing yourself to catch up with the flow of life
Yeah.
when you do it that way.
A lot of people have removed a lot of survival and a lot of imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
and that went a lot along with a lot of Neptune energy. And a lot of Neptune energy was part of the fallacies of what they're asking you to do at this time is those things that you're wanting to do. It's really asking you, can you really hold this? And when Spirit's saying, okay, those are things that are beautiful that you want to do, but can you really hold it? And when they say hold it, it means can you really embody it?
Mm-hmm.
Energetically, mindfully, spiritually, physically, can you actually hold the energy and embody that in truth and sincerity
Mm-hmm.
and authority is what's being said to me. So yeah, you guys want to pursue these things and do these things, which are beautiful things, but can you hold the energy of understanding the authenticity and the values of the integrity that it brings, and that's holding the embodiment of the energy. So these things that you have verbalized, these things that you have, they said, caramelized, meaning those things that you have simmered that you've been thinking about or wanting to do, they're asking you to act on that and embody those things before they kind of wither away from you. And what that means is that the energy starts to slow down in a cyclical pattern way that is really profound, where that starts to go away and new things start to come back online. And so you're starting to realize how these things and these energies are available to you at certain times to do certain things, to look at certain things, to understand certain things about yourself. and then move forward in the process of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So spirit's really been driving force. Can you hold the energy and embody it in relevance to what you're asking to pursue and do? We're not saying that you can't, but it's up to you. Do you believe that you can embody the energy? Do you believe that you can become what it is that you're wanting to receive and perceive? That's what they're asking here.
I believe that
It's big.
it is big, and from personal experience, it is very big. That's why, I go and I share these things because when you when you process this stuff, when you experience these stuff, you realize how special this really is,
Mm-hmm.
and how sacred it really is, and how,
Mm-hmm.
you get to honor yourself in a way that you've never done before because it's owed to you. It's like you're bringing back you're creating your own dharma. You know what I'm saying? At
Mm-hmm.
that sense, in that sense, where the things that now spiral around you are cyclical are devoted.
Mm-hmm.
Devoted to a higher consciousness or a higher energy or higher awareness or a higher goal or success or
Or a higher validity.
yeah, you know what I'm
Like
saying?
there's more
Something of
value,
worth.
integrity.
Yeah, more worth.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start shooting for that, you just, as long as you're willing to maintain it and kind of like discern through distraction, is what Spirit just said,
Mm-hmm.
it's there for you.
Available all times.
Yes, and it's been here for thousands of years. We just don't know how to wield it,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
The energy's clear, and this is where spirit's been really sincere. There's really no karma that is around you. It's really all been really worked through. There's been so much spiritual work,
Mm-hmm.
right? So much integration within self and revelation. Now it's actually like it's time to actualize that.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to do something with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that question. What would you do with yourself if you realized that you had no karma? You know what I'm saying? At
What do you
that
want to
point,
create?
what can you possibly hold on to? At that point, there's obviously a shedding of a layer if you ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, then these thoughts and emotions and ways of being are no longer valid somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the quest to experience what it actually is, because now you have left the baggage exactly where you needed to leave it.
Yeah. And that's really a lot dissolving,
Mm-hmm.
right? That comes so much. I mean, that's so deep when they say dissolving because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much in the in between that goes on.
Yeah.
Sensations, patterns, recognizations, how you do certain things, why you do certain things the way you do them. Like, even down to, oh, I get dressed this way. Well, why do I get dressed this way? Right?
That's one of my
So,
favorite
like,
topics.
yeah, the comfortability level. Spirit's really pushing people out of the layer of comfortability,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that doesn't always necessarily look like a bad thing by any means. It's just where the energy is asking you to do something different or try something new. Or maybe there's something new that you're wanting to try to, pursue, right? Like, I don't know. And those things are actually doing something for you that is different. It's expanding your comfort zone. Some people are realizing too that maybe the way that they've actually been living or the way that they've actually been doing things is no longer comfortable. And that's where a lot of people, because a lot of people have removed that imposter syndrome.
Oh man, the shedding of that layer.
Yeah, because that comes in so many different levels of behaviors and attributes and the ways it shows up, that the reprogramming there can leave one stuck. And what we mean by stuck is it's a repetitive behavior or repetitive cycle that shows up in different ways, but it's the same energy at play. And so a lot of you have realized how you played into your own karma
Yeah.
in these situations, compromising yourself, not trusting yourself, assimilating certain identity roles that the soul was never truly in agreement
Mm-hmm.
with, right? And that's why those things are like, no, this doesn't feel good anymore. I don't identify with that anymore. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to do to
Yeah.
identify with that.
Begs the question, you
So
know?
there's a lot of difference in aspect then where people are going, okay, but where do I begin? What do I want to know about? That questioning is what's leaving
Yeah.
that
Or
passion space.
why, or realizing that if your thoughts are creating unnecessary pressure in your life, why are you thinking them? You know, it's a very profound question when you realize that we're in like air, we're in the season of air.
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
that there's going to be a lot of mental processes, but also the clarity, knowledge,
right,
wisdom, right?
right,
If we know how to wield the energy for itself because we're in the season of it, right?
correct,
You know,
right.
and that you realize that, you know, and this is probably coming up in a lot of people's lives because I see it's like this question mark that just pops up out of nowhere. Well, why am I thinking so much? Or why am I trying to pick something apart? You know?
Yeah, I guess too, that's cool. They just showed me another vibrational aspect of that, which is where people can no longer perceive that something is going to happen like it has in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of things too in similar vibration, they're showing me where it's like you can't assume that just because things were one way that time or this time, that it's going to be that
That
way
way this
again,
time because it's not. That's
because
already
that's an
happened.
that's an yeah that's an old identity, fraud or infliction or
Mm-hmm.
depiction is what they're saying here to me. There's been a lot of generational wounds and territories that have been removed, and we mean this not on just, oh, my parents did this to me or my parents were like that. This is way deeper in aspects. This is where the despair, the unaware, the distortion has really been removed layer after layer. And when we talk about generational curse breakers, we're not just talking about, oh, how mommy and daddy raised you. We're talking about depression era kids, survival aspects, despair,
Mm-hmm.
not understanding their own sovereignty of being able to command the air, the energy. And so you were always taught to belittle yourself. You were always taught to put yourself second or less because that's what mommy did or that's what daddy did or that's what made me feel okay in a certain type of way. And you can't do that anymore. You can't put yourself less
No.
anymore. And
No, we fall apart.
you're also seeing how the generational start, it's not just a formulation of, oh, the poverty stricken. When everybody says poverty, you know what they go to? Money,
Oh, yeah,
right?
but
That's
it's
not even what it reflects. It
no.
reflects a type of energy where the worth space of the
It's
imposter syndrome is taking place
it's
and
a
the nervous system.
manipulated belief system.
It's a very narcissistic vibration with oneself in the imposter syndrome. This is where you gaslighted yourself first.
Yep.
This is where the gaslighting took place in that space first before you came into any other cultivation or vibration with any type of orientation of somebody that was narcissistic or gaslighting or
Mm-hmm.
hypocritical, because you were doing that to yourself in the first place to attract that vibration towards yourself. Misery loves company, baby. So that means in a different type of way that any type of energy that tries to get you to assume that same identity
Uh-huh.
has already pulled you back into that energy, that
Yeah.
self-worth, that lack. When we talk about poverty, it's a mindset, it's an energy, it's a
Uh-huh.
vibration aspect within oneself. I'm going to run the Prosperity Without Force seminar, and it's how to remove the survival aspects and the imposter syndromes within you. And if those of you didn't make it last month, you can get into it in the very first 2 weeks of January. I will have all of those things and informations listed in that vibration. It's really deepening to how you manifest and how you align
Yes.
with those things that you're requesting, because it cannot come from an I don't have lack vibration or please or mentalidation. It has to come from a true alignment in mindset and embodiment and in presence and in awareness, and those aspects teach you how to do that, to get into that vibration fully. It's
Yeah.
not just a hey, yeah, we're high
Nah,
vibe and we're chilling. No, that's
no.
exactly what my dear sister says in those aspects of the Love and Light Brigade. You know what I mean? And I get that, because you can't be in that doesn't work, because what's going on behind the closed doors
Yep.
in your embodiment of your energy will tell you everything.
You know what I
And
love about that? Is that the beauty of manifestation, and this is what she said, well, this is what I observed, was understanding that the beauty of manifestation is learning how to be honest with yourself.
whoo, that's deep, because that comes in very sincere layers, because you have to be able to really be able to take some of those things to somebody else to make sure that you're not vibrating in an illusion aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes one to actually get to know one, number one,
Mm-hmm.
but it also takes one out of self in vulnerability, of course, to ask those questions. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
am I being egoic here? Do you see this in a different type of way?
Yeah.
And that's why it's always good to have that third type of
Yeah,
eye
the
in your
outside
corner, right?
perspective.
And so then you can really come to that space and reflective, not be subjective to your own energy or anything else. You can really then see it for what it is
Yeah.
on oneself.
It's
So
basically counsel, you know.
being honest with oneself, and that's what they're asking you to do. Can we really bring our heaven into earth now and ground these things in that we've been wanting to do, we've been pursuing, we've thought about pursuing or ensuing, because that energy is really aligning for you to have the opportunities available. Now, what that means is they're not going to give you the full line cake and the finished thing. They're going to give you the essentials that you need to bake that cake. And so then you are, in a sense, required to do some work and do some shake and bake, is what Spirit said. All right. And formulate those things. Can you really embody the energy and now hold what it is that you've been wanting to build and receive? So they're asking a lot of people to actualize that energy.
Oh, and not only actualize the energy, the planet itself is welcoming it
Yeah, Mother
to
God.
ground into
Yeah.
our Earth Star chakra.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, and embrace stability and groundedness like no other is basically what I had said before. What we were saying now is that it's kind of like you're getting sucked out from the bottom type of energy, fam, because now you're on a whole nother level, which requires a whole nother level of understanding, doing things, you know, so changing the way that you know, looking at things, seeing things differently. A lot of things are manifesting right now for a lot of people, and everything's changing in front of them. You know, evidence of that is, you know, you know, it might be whatever you focus on, knowing that things are changing. Football teams moving from state to state, you know, the
That was
reality's
crazy.
moving around. It's malleable. You know what I'm saying? And it's very dependent on the collective, but also we have to understand that on a human scale, we also have this smaller aspect of this reality that we're responsible for, you know? And it's that frequential realization, and is the best way that I can say it. It's like understanding that this is what we're being led to, because this is what we're being guided to, because this is what we have offered to us by embracing what the groundedness and the stability is teaching us. It opens us up to somebody said lunar aspects, you know, of open yourself up to that opportunity or more opportunity and all the abundance and what you've been actually desiring in a more pure and honest way than in the way that has been tried before, you know. Actually realizing and experiencing you creating momentum and balance in your life. It's part of that physical experience that happens along with it, as long as you continually wholehearted intended.
Yeah, it's harmonization in all aspects. It's the embodiment vibration. I remember when there was a lot of times, maybe this was about 6-8 months ago. I think it was about 8 months ago, because it was right before we moved here. There was a lot of talk about starting to not reach outside to grab that type of embodiment. It was starting to step into that energy. becoming that process. And so you can definitely see how the collective is moving into energies
Mm-hmm.
of starting to formulate the next step.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very difficult for people in the collective to be able to see the own narrative and directive of their
Yeah.
own journey because of all the different masks
Mm-hmm.
that self has worn, everything else has worn, the torment, those types of processes. So when you start to embody the energy fully of what you're being asked to do in observance, it doesn't always feel good. And this is part of leaving behind things and then being able to move through a line. So none of these things that we're talking about tonight are always happy, always beautiful experiences. Some of them are very bittersweet,
Yeah.
you know, and there was a lot of people that have had to leave family members behind, so on and so forth, right? There's been a lot of talk about cutting family off or families reconnecting, different demographics of things changing. And that's because the energy is just not allowing you to be connected to certain types of energies any longer because your soul path is calling for more.
Yeah.
And when you start to realize what's going on there, you are very aware of what's happening in your own personal experience. So more of an awareness of seeing synchronicities and things just falling into place.
Mm-hmm.
And in a very soft, slow, with ease type of process without you having to force those things. Where in the past, you were controlling how you felt about things, how you saw things, how you connected to things. Once you started to let control go within yourself, everything else around you seemed to lose control too. Different aspects of you, different vibrations of you, different tactics that you used to use. And so those things started to not work anymore either. So you started to have to connect to something more inside of you, more outside of you. That started to get uncomfortable. Things became bittersweet. So change is comfortable but uncomfortable.
I agree. I completely agree.
And what's really cool is that people are realizing how nothing but change truly exists. Ever evolving, ever becoming, ever changing.
Yeah. Ever evolving and ever changing. That's true.
So, you know, there's a lot of things that are coming up in the death part of the experience.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to say is that we're learning how to follow the natural rhythm, right? Which means that we're also learning how to follow the natural seasons of a life cycle. You know what I'm saying?
Like Christmas feeling like death, and
Yeah,
Halloween
and that's
feeling
what
like
the
Christmas.
solstice is about: death and rebirth, renewal. You know, and then
Yep.
we go into the spring, we plant our seeds.
Harvest celebration
You
about
know,
all you came
yeah,
to,
you celebrate in the spring. That's
what
when
you
you start
sowed.
working for things, and then you go into the summer, which is fire season, which is intensity, which is really power into your manifestations. And then you work all the way into the autumn where you harvest those things, and then you go ahead and you celebrate the harvest into the winter solstice, and you go through this death and rebirth because now you have learned so much and you experience so many things and things have changed so much, and
What
you're in
works,
celebration of those things, right? In gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've been wiped out, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like, but this is what they're teaching us, and this is what Gaia teaches us as well when we're willing to sacrifice a moment, you know, for that spiritual understanding of ourselves, because she speaks too, you know, and a lot of you, especially the feminine, are really connected to her, you know, so it's a beautiful blessing that we have the ability to connect to right now.
For sure.
That's lovely. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure how many guys out there are connected to Gaia, dude, but she's a trip. I think it's a beautiful spirit, dude, and a great representation of the feminine. And we should all be proud to be connected to the very thing that we came from. We never forget where we come from, right? And what better way to connect with home than to realize that you're standing on it right now, and embracing that within yourself, and let that heal you or teach you or show you something that you may not know.
There's many different understandings and divine complexities that people are truly, believing and receiving that can become their reality if they choose those things to be. People are really starting to really see how there's no difference between reality and illusion at the same time simultaneously. People are really trying to start and see where there is nothing but unity, and those coming back online to things that they chose to do in this space and time is what's being said to me. So, and of course, it's just about destiny, and people always think destiny is a destination, but it's the art of the vibration of the coherence between yourself, between Mother Earth, between the heavens, the hearth, which is the hearth with a heart, right? Okay? And things where a lot of us are here to reclaim, redo,
rewrite
in a more understanding vibration of what the energy was trying to get our ancestors to continue to pursue before a lot of things were messed up and what they're saying is taken from you.
Yeah.
So there were, and what they mean by that is a lot of people are feeling the need to come together or come to community, unity, and now they're starting to have to see themselves in a unison vibration, no separation, right? To be able to come into community physically. So how do we start to manifest? Well, we start to perceive, right? Then we start to feel that within ourselves, so then people start to feel that there's no separation. So then the embodiment then takes place because the action behind it calls for it. Everything happens in the heavens first, that brings it to the physical, and it comes out through the heart space and through the physical of doing that. So that's all in all what's taking place in a very
spiritual architecture, fam.
Yeah, in a mighty but small way.
Yeah.
And so people are being called to expand. People are being called to do these things and to pursue these things that will help the collective or the narrative or the directive as a whole.
Yeah, no, I always hear it. It's a great time to be alive as long as you got your glasses on, right? That's what I heard.
As long as you got your glasses. I choose to wear no glasses. That way I can see everything.
Well, I guess that was for me.
No, I get it. I'm just messing up. I always have to be the claws,
Yeah, I got you.
My little ego trying to always have to be different in something. You know?
Let's be creative.
Let's be real. Let's be real, Oh, thank you. I miss you too. Anna, if you ever need to call, you've got the number. You just ET phone home. No, this has been a beautiful talk with you, and I really believe that the energies of Jupiter are calling for those things too, man. Values, morals, integrity.
Structure is what I hear.
Structure, and that's a lot. Jupiter is a longevity planet like Uranus. Uranus is actually in Taurus still, in retrograde. It's right on that edge line between Taurus and Gemini. So you're going to kind of also have both aspects because it's really close to Gemini. So it's really in Taurus, but it's actually playing on that line. So you're going to have some aspects there.
There will be this month will be, and also Uranus, later on in the month will be a Uranus conjunction, which is associated with changes, surprises, hidden things, and revelation.
Is that January 5th through the 11th that comes with the full moon?
I think it's in the 20th, 27th or something.
Okay.
So it's like it's going to be building up to that space. And then you have Mercury, you know, Mercury's angry right now, but it's moving out of.
Because it's with Mars.
Yeah.
Mercury and Mars and one other planet are together underneath the sun in Capricorn right now.
So it's creating a lot of unnecessary critical thinking.
Well, also he's unhappy.
Yeah, he's not happy
he doesn't
in that
like
same
Capricorn.
sign. Yeah, no.
He doesn't like Capricorn.
It's very uncomfortable.
So there might be Capricorn's about structure. Mercury's about communication.
Mm-hmm.
Mars is about our emotional aspects and vibration, what we emotionally attach to.
Mm-hmm.
When Mars is in retrograde, it conjuncts too, and it kind of brings those attributes of the childhood wounds.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, this is interesting too. Is it Ceres? Yeah, Ceres. Yeah, Ceres and Chiron are very close together right now too, and those are playing roles.
Yeah,
very close.
That
to
explains
Neptune
the in and out, man. That explains the in and out of things. Like, thing comes in waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was looking at certain attributes, they were showing me that Chiron has a play in that too.
Yeah, you can feel it.
And they're hanging out together. So sometimes you're going to feel an agitation and vibration. Sometimes you're going to be like, yo, this energy's fucking wild, and I don't know how to even explain this, but weird. It's just weird. Okay? And other times you're going to feel like you get these spurts and mumbles of clarity.
Yeah.
And so these are going to be the patterns over the next 3 days, and it makes sense to me because of what these things are governing and structuring and getting us to formulate and look at and do within our own personal pathways. People are being really asked to be in authenticity of what they choose, understanding why they're choosing to do these things, and have the how. And the how is part of that passion and intensification of why you're doing that thing. It's being able to put more of that vibration and intentional vibration behind it, you know. And if there's not that how and driving passion behind that thing, you might want to think twice about doing that thing.
Because that might not be direction.
Because our souls have been in reflection about identities that they gave subjection to that maybe they didn't really even sign up for. And so that's part of the old identity that maybe you assumed, but you didn't sign up for that karmic role to receive that energy. I hope that makes sense on the soul level of process. So let's say, in a sense, where there were so many projections upon you, X, Y, and Z, that you finally assumed the energy of the identity, right? But it was not a character role that your soul signed up to play.
Of course not. That's where the uncomfort comes from.
So then what's happening in an identification way is that you're being pushed out of those spaces or pushed into those places that actually start to fill that soul's role.
The pieces that,
And that's like the square peg in the round hole. Okay. I love you all. It has been wonderful hanging out with you and sitting with you and having conversation with you in vibration. So thank you for being here tonight. We wanted to give a tribute to this space and start and rebuild this place, but just come on and chat tonight about the different energies taking place and how you may be feeling or seeing or relating or conjuncting to these things within your own life and your own roles at this time as well. So thank you guys for being here. I greatly appreciate it. All right. Until next time, take care of yourselves. All right.
And each other.
All right. Till we meet again. Mwah.
Take care.
Thank
Peace.
you guys. Oh, we love you too, Anna.